Alright guys, today we're going to look at how to add fish to an aquarium. So there's a few steps, and the first step that everyone's probably seen and heard about before is to let your fish sit in the tank water in the bag for a while. And that is true. You're going to want to do that. The reason being, you want the temperature to get about the same. I've read that about 1 degree temperature change for a fish is about like a 10-degree change for an air-living person or a human or an animal. So if you get the temperature change of, let's say, 5 degrees to them, that would feel like 50 degrees to us. So it's really important the temperature is really close. So what we're going to do is let that sit for a while, and then we're also going to make sure the light in the tank is off. Light in the tank will just stress the fish, so we're going to want the tank light off, and then we're going to keep it off for a while after we add the fish. The whole first day I like to leave it off. Another thing before we keep doing this, there's more steps than just the temperatures. You should have a liquid test kit. If you have a fish tank, you should have one of these. You should not have a fish tank without one of these. These will test your ammonia, your nitrite, your pH, and then some kits do more, but I think that's basically all these do. Nitrite, ammonia, phosphate, and pH. You need one of these. You need to be able to know the cycle of your tank. You need to know when it's cycled. You need to be able to test ammonia, make sure everything's going good. You should be checking your tank at least twice a month, and in the beginning when you're doing your cycle, more often, so you can track your cycle. So I got a couple fish here. These are just little plotties. Should be 3 in there. I'm only seeing 2, but there should be 3 in that bag. And then in here, this is a dwarf flame gourami, I think they called him. And then I used to have one of these guys. You can't really see him up there. We'll see him more. You might have seen him there for a second. Some butterfly fish. They eat off the surface. They're always at the top. I had one of these a long time ago, back when I was in college. And they're really cool fish. The one I had was real hardy. He lived real good a long time. I had him when I moved out, but I got rid of my tank when I moved out of my college apartment and moved to another city. So I ended up giving him to the pet store along with all the other fish I still had that was in that town. But he was a real hardy fish, real cool. They'll eat crickets off the top of the water and other insects, so we'll get some feeding videos of him. But I just got to let this sit for about 5 minutes more. They've been in there a while. I'd say let them sit like 15 minutes. The longer the better, but anything over 15 is probably all you need. And we'll come back and do the next step. Alright, so these have been sitting long enough that the temperature should be equaled out. Now we need to equal out a little bit of the water. Some people just throw in freshwater fish like this. You shouldn't. You should do this one more step. It's especially important with saltwater fish, but you should do it freshwater. What we're going to do now is get a bucket, and I'm going to take some tank water, throw it into the bucket. And you know, it doesn't have to be precise. If you're doing this with salt water, you're going to have to be a little bit slower about this, adding little bits at a time, because with salt water you need to level out the salt levels, and they need to be almost identical or that will shock the fish just like temperature would. Here we're leveling out the levels of everything in the water, the pH and you know, phosphates, everything. It's just all gonna, we're trying to level that out a little bit. So with fresh water, you saw I threw in a pretty good amount. I wanted to have about the same amount of liquid as the bag has. So let me take this out, see if I can get this to stand up here, if we can do this without spilling. And there we go. You might not have seen me pour all those in because the camera was a little low, but you saw me pulling the water out of the tank. So that's where it went, into that bucket. I'm going to get off this rubber band here. Now what we're going to do is simply pour the fish into the bucket. Now we're going to leave that for about another 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, and then that fish will be ready to go in the tank. So I'm just going to do that one because I don't want to set up 3 buckets up there. That's about all I can fit since I'm doing this on camera. So I'm just going to wait 10 minutes, finish off this fish, and then we'll finish up the video here. I will also put a link in the description on my videos that I have on the biocycle of water. If you're setting up a fish tank, no matter how big or small, you should watch this video. It talks about the nitrogen cycle and the things you need to know to have a successful fish tank. So we'll be back with the last steps and little final words. Alright, it's been about 15 minutes. So now the fish has completely acclimated to the temperature and the water's all been mixed, so he knows both. But I don't want to just dump this directly into my tank. The fish from the store, the water from the store, you never know exactly how good it is, if there's anything in it. So you're going to want to take a net. Where are you, guy? You want to get your fish out. Probably didn't see me, I just caught him with the net there. And then we'll get him in the water down here quick. And release him. Did he get out? Yep, he's down there in the tank. And then we're just going to dump out the extra water in the bucket. That's just useless now. We're not going to throw that into our tank. So fish is in there now. And now I'm going to do the same with the last 2 bags. But that's basically it. Let them sit, get the temperature close, and then mix some tank water with them, and then put them in the tank without adding all the fish store water. And that's how you should add fish when you're just getting an aquarium, or if you have an aquarium set up already. If you have a really expensive aquarium set up, and by expensive I mean a lot of expensive fish in there, you might want to quarantine any new fish as well in a separate tank to make sure they're not sick from the store and they don't bring in anything bad to the tank like parasites or some illness. But on a new tank setup, or if you're not really worried about it, you can just put them directly into your main tank. So hope that helps, and that's how to add fish to a tank. Have any fish questions or pet questions, let me know. And happy fish keeping. See y'all later.